Hey friends, welcome back today to Bible Fun with the Duns. Today in our church family, we read Isaiah chapter 41 and 42. Now, these two chapters, kind of starting out our week in this, these two chapters are a call for attention. Now, I want you to just notice, when you're reading through these two chapters today, notice how in both of these chapters, there's an appeal to come pay attention. So chapter 41 starts out with, "Keep silence before me, O coastlands, and let the people renew their strength." So chapter 41 is going to start out almost with like a courtroom scene where the judge is sitting in his position and all the people are waiting to hear what the judge has to say. Chapter 42, when it starts with a good Bible word, the word behold. Behold always means to look at, to pay attention to. In this case, you might picture it almost like a trumpet call going out over the nations, and everybody is called to look up and pay attention. And so when you put this together in the context of Isaiah, after now 40 chapters, in what is our longest prophetic book in the Bible, how many people do you think have been listening to Isaiah for so long that they're starting to let the words just kind of wash over? Maybe you're doing that by now. Maybe you've been reading Isaiah for so long, it's hard to keep up with this information. And so you're reading it, but it's hard to kind of key in on what you're supposed to be getting out of it. What if the Lord is saying that in this scene, everybody needs to pay attention? So in chapter 41, you've got a courtroom scene where the Lord says, "Come near and hear what the judge has to say." J. Vernon McGee said of this chapter, he said, "The theme of this chapter is that God is going to protect and lead his children through the world, which is fraught with pitfalls and dangers." Probably in verse number 2, this person he's talking about coming is probably Cyrus, who's the king of the Medes and the Persians. He's eventually going to come in. Cyrus is going to be the one, he kind of takes control of everything, but he ends up letting the Jews come back home after exile. Whenever you get into the later chapters, so verses 1 through 4 show us a God who is in full control of the world. He's over control of the direction of human history and nations, where leaders fall and leaders rise and people come and people go, but God remains forever. Well, how do you know? Because in verse 4 he says, "I am the Lord. I am the first, and with the last I am He." That phrase, "I am the first and the last," we find that phrase 3 times in the book of Revelation. So God, who is the same yesterday, today, and forever, is saying, "I'm the first and the last" in the middle part of the Bible. But he's going to come at the end and he's going to say it again. And then in Genesis, he literally was the only one, right? He existed before everything. And so we've got God in this picture. I like how in chapter 41, which probably is some of my favorite readings from today, it gives us 2 wonderful ways to be associated with God. Like, what is our connection to him? Well, in verse 8, it says, "But you, Israel, are my servant." Well, I want to be God's servant. He says, "In Jacob, whom I have chosen, the descendants of Abraham," and here's what he says, "my friend." Can I tell you, I don't know of 2 other better ways to say I want a connection with the Lord than that I want to be his servant and I want to be his friend. I want to be his servant. I want him to be my friend. When we read through this, we're getting another one of these precious promises that we can cling to. When nothing else in life is stable, God is stable. Because look in verse 10. He says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Verse 13 says, "For I, the Lord, am your God. I will hold your right hand, saying to you, fear not, I will help you." So this same message all the way through the Bible, fear not, for I am with you. Now we're even finding it in the days leading up to captivity. So in all of the readings of what we've got going, we're either going to love the Lord and trust the Lord and hold his hand through this life, or we're going to kneel before something else. Well, listen, let's hold our Father's hand. Let's be his servant. Let's be his friend. And then in chapter 41 or 42 of our reading today, we have what is the first of what we would call the servant songs in Isaiah. So this is the kind of moment where the Lord is calling everybody's attention. This is what he's saying. He says, behold, pay attention. Why? Because he's about to introduce to them the kind of Messiah that's coming. He's talking about Jesus before he gets here. And so he's talking about Jesus in verse 2 where he says he will not cry out nor raise his voice nor cause his voice to be heard in the street. So Jesus is going to be this, he's going to patiently and gently build his kingdom. And who is he going to build his kingdom for? He's not going to come in like a piece of machinery and just mow down the nations. No, he's going to go to the meek, to the mild, and he will be meek and mild. But he'll be God at the same time. Verse 3 says, a bruised reed he will not break. So what's that mean? He doesn't break the weak like a tyrant would. Instead, he's going to bind up like a great physician. A smoking flax he will not quench. He will bring forth justice for truth. He will not fail. He will not be discouraged till he has established justice in the earth. And so when the Messiah comes, one of the things they're going to notice is that the Messiah is going to initially build his kingdom by working with the things that everybody else has thought is no big deal. He's going to build his kingdom through the transformed lives of the poor and the lame and the crippled and the bleeding and the dead and those whose flame is almost out. That's who he's going to build his kingdom on. He's not going to go to nobility because they're not going to have it. He's going to go to the everyman. He's going to go to the forgotten. He's going to go for you. And so when we're reading through this, I like verse 8. I am the Lord, that is my name. My glory I will not give to another. So the only proper response to Jesus is worship and full and complete surrender. In verse 11, it says, let the wilderness and the cities lift up their voice. Well, which one? The villages of Kedar, that Kedar inhabit, that's Arabia. Let the inhabitants of Salah sing. That's Edom. What's this mean? It means that the nations near and far are going to be invited. Why? Because Revelation says that in the end of days, God will draw to him representatives from every tongue, every tribe, every people, from every place, and they'll all come before him. If you're interested in that, look at Revelation chapter 7, verse 9. And then the Lord is talking about basically how he has appealed to Israel for years and years and years, but they've closed their ears and their eyes to God's call for help. And they were so hard-headed that eventually judgment is going to have to come. The discipline of the Lord had not caused his people to pay attention, so judgment was going to have to come, and they were going to have to experience some tough love. When you read through this, understand when the Lord has a word for his people, we always ought to pay attention. Beautiful are open ears to the Lord, as willing to hear his warnings and his blessings. His flashing red lights and yellow lights of caution, and then the wonderful glow light, the sun coming up with new promises of a new day. The Lord has all sorts of these things at work, but do we have ears that we're ready to listen? So come all nations and listen in chapter 41, right? In chapter 42, he says, behold, pay attention. That's what I want to do today. When you read, pay attention to what the Lord's telling you today. We'll see you soon. Bye.